And welcome to another episode of the Decatur Dish. I am Maria Moreau with Atlanta News First, joined by our media partners at Decaturish and the one and only Dan Wisenhunt. And Dan, there's been some stories out of DeKalb County that's got the community talking.
Yes, there have been. We broke a story yesterday about Henry Fron's Jr., who is known for being a bagpiper in Decatur. He plays at all the Memorial Day events. He plays at funerals and weddings. A learned man and adventurer to the end. He passed away while scuba diving in Hawaii at the age of 74 on March 10th, thereabouts. And his family showed up to settle his affairs at his home on Garden Lane in Decatur. And they found a skeleton, human skeleton, in the treehouse in the backyard. The family tells me they believe that this is his son who passed away. His son has been missing for 3 or 4 years. There is no foul play suspected in either death, but everyone watches a lot of Netflix, I guess, so people are really doing a lot of speculating. I can only report what I know, and I can't report what I don't know, and that's really where the story stands. I'm still digging.
A fascinating person to talk about when reflecting on his life. I mean, he, was the bagpiper of Decatur, but also was an attorney and did pro bono work and was involved in this community. And so he's touched a lot of lives.
Collected fossils, which is how he learned to scuba dive. He was a fossil hunter, and he learned to scuba dive so he could collect fossils underwater. Endlessly fascinating individual. I did talk to his daughter, and she conceded that, yeah, if this was how he wanted to go, this scuba diving is how he would have rather gone as opposed to being in a nursing home or something somewhere. So lived a life on his terms, exited life on his terms. Very sad situation with his son. Again, to anybody watching who's interested in that, I am interested in that too. I'm looking into some more information about it. Hopefully we'll know more soon about that.
Well, talk to me about this one, because this next story, it's not what you hear every day. You have stories of students getting arrested for altercations or things they get involved with, but in this case, it was a parent that police were called to.
Yes, the parent of a Beacon Hill Middle School student showed up, and this occurred occurred earlier this month. I don't have the exact date, but a couple of days ago, and he was talking to a student about a conflict that student had with his student, and the student was leaving the school, and according to the police report, he put his hand on the student's shoulder and attempted to talk to him. The principal came out and confronted him. There was backing up a little bit, when we initially reported the story, a lot of people didn't understand why this person had been arrested and charged with battery. They thought putting your hand on a kid's shoulder, that's nothing. But the report we got added some more context. This student was apparently trying to leave school. This man was trying to detain the student as they were leaving school. The principal came out, said, "Don't touch our student." Apparently the principal and the parent almost came to blows. The principal issued a trespass warning. So there's a lot more going on in the story than it might have first appeared when we got the initial information. That's what that's about. I think it's notable that there was a conflict with the principal there, which probably is why they took it a little more seriously than it sounded initially.
And that investigation's still ongoing, but I mean, you've said you've seen some traction online with the parents and community members talking about this and literally weighing in on it.
They are. I think it's important for anybody out there who is watching us, putting your hands on a kid that is not yours, even if you think you are parenting, is generally not a good idea. So maybe don't do that. I'm not saying that's what happened, but that is what is alleged. And if you have a mind to do that, to settle things the old-fashioned way, don't do that. Things don't work the old-fashioned way anymore.
Well, talk to me a little bit about Pullman Yards, because there are some major developments happening out there, and it could really benefit as far as an economic boost to this area.
Pullman Yards is definitely an economic driver, Maria. It's also a perpetual thorn in the side of residents who live in the area. It's been an ongoing topic of contention, as we've talked on this show before, particularly around Sweetwater 420 Fest and other events that they have. Bringing you up to speed, the Pullman Yard owners sought a modification of an environmental cleanup loan that they had gotten from the DeKalb County Development Authority. And in the process of seeking this modification, Decatur-ish learned that they're planning to break ground this summer on some convention space and a parking deck. So it's going to be phase 2 of that project. It's eventually going to include in phase 3 some residential and housing components. But right now, what they're going to do is build that parking deck, add more parking space, and add more convention space. Because the big thing that's happening there, besides filming projects, which there's been a ton of filming projects there, are events. So they had the Balloon Museum exhibit, they had the Van Gogh exhibit. They do a lot of arts-related programming there. And as a matter of fact, our special guest today is Isadora Pennington, who heads up the Avondale Estates Arts Alliance, and she's here to talk to us about what her organization does and about the state of arts in DeKalb County. Joining us now is Isadora Pennington, president of the Avondale Estates Arts Alliance, and a friend of mine. Isadora, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
Great. Glad you can be here. Talk to me about the Avondale Estates Arts Alliance. You started that, it's been a year, right? It's been a year, 2 years?
It's actually been 2 years since
Wow.
I joined the Arts Alliance, but to be clear, the Arts Alliance has been around since like 2003.
Oh, okay.
And it was working on festivals and kind of public art things, including the Art Lot, which a lot of people might remember.
I do remember that.
And then during COVID, things kind of slowed down and engagement slowed down, and I went to a meeting and became the president in March of 2023.
So you just showed up and they said, it's yours.
They said, we need more board members, and I said, I'm interested. They said, does anyone want to be the president? I said, okay, and so that's how that all began. But we just celebrated a year on February 10 of the opening of the Avondale Arts Center.
Did you say want is a strong word when they asked you that? Or?
I am always someone who's eager to take on new challenges, and I really love art. And as I got to know more about the arts in Avondale Estates, there already was such a robust art scene. It was really thrilling and exciting to have a place in it, and I was excited for the challenge.
Indeed. Avondale has always had a quirky little art scene. They've got Little Tree Art Studio, which we'll talk about in a minute. They had the Art Lot that you mentioned earlier. What does the Avondale Estates Arts Alliance do?
You know, I think that, I know for me, when I got into it, I didn't really understand what an arts alliance really was. I was more familiar with galleries and museums and more traditional forms of art exhibition spaces. But arts alliances are kind of like this bridge between community organizations, the government, and the people who live and work and enjoy the town. So arts alliances can be kind of a liaison between these different parts of the community. I kind of picture the Avondale Arts Alliance as an umbrella that covers many different aspects of the arts in Avondale Estates, including places like Little Tree and all of the artistic businesses, but also can serve as a gathering place and a means of connecting people who could buy art with people who make art, and making the city itself more culturally rich through artful experiences that we facilitate.
Tell me about the Arts Center. How did that come about?
So that's a kind of funny story. We were getting started doing some like pop-up experiences in different spaces. The Arts Alliance never had a physical location before February of 2024. And so we had been doing little pop-up art shows, pop-up workshops, that kind of thing at different places. And one of the places we had been exhibiting at, businesses changed and we didn't have wall space anymore for us to show our art there. So I was like, you know what, it's fine. We'll see what happens. Maybe we'll focus on public art. But it was actually through Taylor Means of Globe Arts. He spoke with Shannon, the assistant city manager, and this idea came about that we could repurpose temporarily this building that used to be Finders Keepers, which was a consignment shop. It had been sitting empty because Avondale Estates is going through a period of massive growth. And so their intention is actually to tear that building down. But that process was taking longer and it was sitting empty. And they said, hey, maybe it's a win-win. You can do a pop-up art show, art center here. And I was like, yes, sign me up. I'll take it today. It was a lot of work to do, but we converted basically an empty shell that used to be for consignment clothing into an exhibition space that also has space for workshops and special event rentals and all kinds of fun art-making experiences.
So the plan is to tear that down and do what with it? Make more parking, expand the road? What's the long-term plan for that building?
Yeah, to my understanding, the plan is and has always been that that building and the building next to it will eventually go and be replaced with a boutique hotel. It's a part of the Avondale Estates master plan. And so eventually that will also have a parking deck because as we see this density of growth of all of these amazing businesses that are in Avondale already and then also moving in with the, the road diet and all of these things that are enticing new businesses, there's a need for more parking. So the plan is to eventually kind of build in a parking deck, have a boutique hotel. And when that happens, we're not exactly sure. We're kind of like, we can be fluid and flexible in a way that a lot of traditional businesses can't. Obviously, before February of 2024, we didn't have a physical space, but we still did art experiences in the community. So we're able to kind of be fluid and dynamic and move with the city and see what will happen. And during that time, we're just going to use the heck out of this building and really build us up into something that hopefully we can find a new home if and when that happens.
Talk to me about the current state of arts in DeKalb County. If I want to go support arts within my community and I don't want to go to the High Museum, love the High Museum, by the way, no disrespect, how can I view that and support that where I live?
I think that's a great question because a lot of times, everyone who lives in and around Atlanta knows that you could travel an hour and still be in Atlanta. It's a sprawling metro. So a lot of the arts are kind of in these different sections. There's Castleberry Hill, there's Midtown, and there's these kind of hubs of art in these different parts of town. And once you get kind of east more towards Decatur and, Avondale Estates and Tucker and those areas, it gets a little bit more sparse. But there's plenty there. You just kind of have to know where to look. So one of the things that's important about the Art Center is to be a figurehead to point people to places in Avondale. So starting in Avondale, there's Little Tree Art Studios, which has about 40 resident studio artists at any given time. Globe Art Center, which is behind it, is now being transformed into even more art spaces. And then we have local art businesses like Fiber Parts, which is a yarn and fiber art supply store, Garage Door Studio, which works with all local artists. There's a lot of really amazing art in Avondale. But beyond the scope of Avondale, there's the Decatur Arts Alliance is doing some amazing things. So they have a huge property at Legacy Park that they are working into having. They have an exhibition space, but they also are going to actually be building artist residences as well. So you have a studio and you live there. They do a lot of their public programs are really apparent. Their festivals and things like that. Decatur Arts Festivals are a big part of how they operate. But outside of that, there's also Empire Arts Gallery, which is in Kirkwood. Cat Eye Creative is moving into Decatur. There's a new tattoo parlor in Avondale Estates. There is a new art gallery kind of across from Kudzu. And then up to Brookhaven, there's kind of more once you get a little bit north. There's the Sproul Arts Center, and then in Tucker, the Tucker Arts Alliance, they're trying to get launched as well. But really, one of the reasons why it was important for us to start the Avondale Arts Center was that there was a lack of kind of a cohesive place to showcase all of the work. There's a ton of artists making work, but they're making it in their studios and then they're taking it to places like Castleberry Hill to exhibit it. So it's wonderful to kind of be able to be a part of this machine to help provide a more local resource where you can go and see art.
What is the best way that we can, as individuals, support local arts? Is it going to these shows and buying pieces? Is it giving to the artists directly? What do you think?
I mean, ultimately, my goal, I think, as a person, separate from everything that I'm doing, is to facilitate other artists surviving and thriving. It's really kind of what I've made my life about. And so, in a way, it's kind of a mixed bag. You can buy art, and you should. When it's holiday season, please buy art from local artists. Support people in your community. It's a really healthy way to keep money circulating in the community and to give give gifts that are more personal and more special than something you could pick up at a big box store. So that's number one. But number two, come out to the shows and talk about it. Share that with other people. Post about it on your social media. Invite people to things. Even if you can't make it, send it to 10 friends and say, I can't be at this show, but it looks really cool. You guys should check it out. And then beyond that, programs like the Avondale Arts Alliance, which is a registered nonprofit. We have membership programs and we accept donations. So financial support is always welcomed, but often it is just the visible support of showing up, posting about it, talking about it, and visibly sharing your joy for art in a way where, as a normal citizen, you can be kind of a part of the community grassroots effort of these art spaces.
I have sort of a philosophical question. What is the impact that arts and a thriving art scene can have on a community, not only its cultural life, but its civic life?
I think that it is one of those things that sometimes you don't notice until it's gone. I think a lot of times you walk through a city like Savannah and you go, wow, it's super artsy. Or you walk through another city that maybe doesn't have such a robust art scene and you might not really notice it, but you go, wow, it's kind of like there's a lot of blank walls, you know? And sometimes it's the extremes that you notice. But beyond the impact on artists and that live and work there and the arts organizations that facilitate it, it has a huge part to play in tourism and in the public perception of a city, which is something that I think is harder to pin down. You can't really put like a number on it. There's not necessarily a number value associated with what is the experience like to live in an artful city. But I think that art is an original language. It's one of the original languages that can supersede things like culture, your class, your education level, your language. You can use it as a way to effectively connect people. So when you live in a place that's artful and artistic, I think not only does it encourage you to think more creatively and kind of tap into your own innate creativity, but it also, I think, changes people's perception of the entire community into one that is more vibrant, more welcoming of different ideals, and maybe more, forward thinking. Artists are really creative thinkers. They are good problem solvers. So they are often going to bring a different perspective to different things that you might run into, like a storm drain. Or, for example, in Avondale Estates, road calming measures. Trying to think about artistic ways to help enhance public safety can be a really effective and sometimes kind of overlooked way of incorporating art into a community beyond just an exhibition space.
We are chatting with Isadore Pennington, who is the president of the Avondale Estates Art Alliance and director of the Arts Center over there in Avondale Estates. Isadore, tell us, what are some of the events that are coming up and how can the public attend those?
Oh, I would love to. So currently we are right in the middle of our school showcase section. So we typically operate in kind of 2-month chunks. And so often we're pretty much exclusively group shows. But for March and April of this year, we have been working with local schools to give our space to let them show their work. So currently we have a show up by elementary students from Bob Mathis Elementary. Next up we have the Museum School, and then after that Avondale Elementary School. We also have a Raksha art show coming up on the weekend of the 11th. And then after that, we have an Asian American art show opening on May 9. And then the Avondale Estates Art and Wine Walk, which is like super fun. And if you want to get a taste for Avondale Estates and what the art is like, please come out to that. That's on Saturday, May 10th. It's the Saturday before Mother's Day. It's a wine stroll. So you buy a ticket and you get to taste all this wine. And our Arts Alliance is responsible for curating art and music experiences through the city. Not only that, but this year is our first year that we're offering summer camp. So if you have kids between the age of 5 and 10, you want to have them have some arts experiences, come let them do some cool art with us as well.
Offering summer camp is the Lord's work for any parent. Isadore, thank you so much for joining us. We hope you'll join us again sometime.
Thank you so much. It's always a pleasure talking to you.
This is the Decatur Dish Show. We air right here on Atlanta News First Plus every Tuesday at 12:30 p.m. To check out episodes of this show, download the Atlanta News First Plus app. It's completely free. You can get past episodes of this show and other great content produced by our partners at Atlanta News First. For all the latest news on DeKalb County, visit Decaturish.com. With that, we'll see you next week at 12:30 p.m. on Tuesday right here on A&F Plus.